This is WPSL Port St. Lucie, the talk of the Treasure Coast.
Good evening and welcome to the African American Scene with Rudy Howard. It's presented by Martin County Roofing, and you're invited to call us 340-1590 to join the conversation. Here's Rudy.
Good evening, good evening, good evening. Boy, I'm just so happy to be back on my Wednesday nights. Feels good. Well, we're going to have an open mic night tonight, and I still haven't forgot about solar because I had one person I know who is very interested in solar. The law has just been put on the governor's desk, changing the credits associated with solar. And I'm trying to line someone up who can speak intelligently about what the changes in the law mean. I think what it means in the long run is you won't be able to sell back your energy to FP&L, but I'm just going on my basic fundamental understanding, which is not a lot.
None of us do have much understanding of that.
Yeah, we will get it clear for sure. And we have a new Supreme Court Justice, Ketanji Brown Jackson. I am just absolutely elated to see that happen. I think she is an extraordinary human being. And I mean, somebody took the time to go and match up her qualifications against the other justices. I don't know if you saw that or not.
Oh, yeah.
And she is like heads and heels qualified over top of them. So I don't know why we have to get in such a horrible bickering back and forth. And, you know, what I did last week, Carol, I did a section on why our country is so divided. And I gave a list of tactics that could be used to bridge the divide in our country. And I didn't get many phone calls on it. And I think what I might do is just quickly give you those list of items again before I get into my topics for the night, in case somebody didn't hear them and they want to comment. I have to tell you, I have listened to a masterclass with Dolores Kearns Goodwin. And that was an amazing class. I don't know how much you folks know about Dolores Kearns Goodwin, but she was hired as a young girl to work for Lyndon Johnson. And her husband, who she eventually married, was a speechwriter for Lyndon Johnson. She won a Nobel Nobel Prize for her book. I think it was, Jesus, the name escapes me, because it's the book that Obama read when he came into office. Anyway, and she talks about what it was like being in the White House back then, and how people communicated with each other. And while they had disagreements, nothing even close on the order of what we have today. And Carol, since you and I are old timers, we both can remember when it wasn't this as contentious as well.
Well, somewhere along the line in the recent years, it's become okay to be rude.
Yes.
And suddenly a whole lot more people are. And yeah, you mentioned the hearings for Judge Jackson. The fact that people got up and left. You know, I don't care what party you are. That's just rude.
It is. It is.
And it used to not be okay.
That you're right. That is something in past years that you could not imagine happening. You know, you would sit there out of being polite and courteous,
Courtesy, right?
you know, but hey,
And respect for the
and
court.
respect, yes,
someone going down to the court.
absolutely, yeah.
Sure.
And then what they did, as far as her record is concerned, was really abhorrent. She had almost 600 cases that she heard as a judge, and they plucked like 9 cases. That was so unfair. That is so unfair. I mean, that's totally ridiculous. With 600 cases, you get a really, really good idea about her judicial philosophy. I mean, much more than you could have gotten out of Amy Coney Barrett or out of Brett Kavanaugh, because she's had more depth and more cases that she's handled than they had. So I don't know why you would do that, because you had adequate information to find out whether or not she was a competent judge, and you had the Fraternal Order of Police endorsing her as competent. And, you know, it's amazing. But anyway, that's behind us now. But let me give you these 5 things, and then I'm going to get into the topics that I had lined up for tonight. These are 5 suggestions for trying to bridge the gap that exists. And being a child of the 60s, my wife usually accused me of being naive. I have to say, I am not terribly optimistic that we will be able to bridge the gap. Number 1, right from the start, show respect, goodwill, and vulnerability. Leave your defenses behind and show you're ready to be honest and authentic. That's number 1. That kind of goes with what we were just talking about, doesn't it?
It does, yes.
Number 2, control the natural human instinct to judge people who disagree with you. Just be aware of what they're saying without trying to correct them. You can return to your differences later, maybe after you've established trust. Number 2. Number 3, look for your points of agreement. De-emphasize the differences. Trust can grow from shared values. That for sure. That's something, as an old claims adjuster, I learned. Try to come up with your agreements that you can agree on. That always helps get the situation resolved. Number 4, focus on building trust and making points. I'm sorry, focus on building trust and not making points. When ideological opponents can stop vilifying each other and can stop viewing different viewpoints as evil, American society can resume the work of compromise and progress.
All good points. Yes,
Yeah.
all good suggestions.
And finally, number 5, don't expect opposition to disappear. The point is not to eliminate conflict, but to repair our society's ability to handle it constructively. I think I agree with that completely. And I think that I can do that, depending. My weakness in those kind of conversations are, if I think you're trying to pull the wool over my eyes or you're not being straight with me, I tend to lose it. Now I'm going to totally admit that's a weakness, and I got that from my father, to tell you the truth. That was a weakness of his too. If I just think if you're trying to give me the business, we're having a discussion, I think you're trying to give me the business, I have a tendency to go on the attack because I don't like that. If you talk to me and you making a point and you're making an intelligent point and I got to sit there and listen to it and you give me something to think about, you don't get attacked by me, but you get attacked by me when you're trying to give me stuff to believe that I'm not going to believe. Like you're trying to convince me to believe something that I know is not true. That puts me on, that makes me wild. I wholeheartedly admit that. But anyway, if you want to have, give me any feedback on those particular items of a suggested correction for our society, please feel free to do so. And that number is 340-1590. I have 3 basic topics I'm going to talk to you about tonight. One is that you understand the special election period associated with health insurance. 2, the Florida lawmakers have caved in to allow DeSantis to develop the redistricting law for Florida. And the third is I got a book from the Southern Poverty Law Center, which details all the hate groups in the country, which is kind of interesting. Okay, first off, let's talk about this special election period. As you know, there's technically only one time a year when you can get your health insurance, and that starts in November. Medicare starts in October, but health insurance starts in November. One of the questions I get from time to time is, why do they do that? Why do they limit to this, just this one particular time of the year? Well, there's a lot of things that I disagree with insurance companies about, but on this one, I really don't have an axe to grind. They don't want you to wait until you're sick and then run out and get health insurance. Pretty tough to argue with that, Carol, don't you think?
Well, yeah, sure. Everybody would wait until, they had this terrible diagnosis, and then I need you to spend a fortune on me, well.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's not going to work. So if everybody did that, the system would be broke, because part of what makes the system work is you have people that are well that are paying for people that are not so well. So that's why that happens. Okay. So there's a lot of things about my industry that I can say they're guilty of being a money grab, but that's not one of them. I think that's perfectly reasonable to not allow you to wait until you're on your deathbed to go out and get insurance. That's just not a very good thing. So, but there is interim opportunities. And what I want to tell you about is what's called special election periods. So what are some of the things that would allow you to get insurance outside the normal period? A move. A move would allow you to secure insurance, because the insurance program, the insurances associated with the marketplace are territorial. So if you moved out of your immediate area, there's a good, you will not typically be covered in a new area unless it's only on a temporary basis. And a lot of the plans that are available through the marketplace are not comprehensive plans. So you have to adhere pretty much to getting coverage in your network, in your area, unless it is on an emergency basis. But some plans are a little more flexible. What I would suggest to you is, as I always do, when I'm doing an enrollment for a person, I always ask them whether or not they travel out of the state. Like if they got kids that are in another state that they go see 2 or 3 times a year, or family members that they go visit. And then based on that, I try to get them a plan that I know is going to be able to protect them in the event that they have a difficulty when they're not away. But a temporary move is fine. Marriage would allow you to get what's called a special election period, and you'd be able to get a medical plan for you and your wife. Adoption. If you are to adopt a child, or you had a foster care replacement, or you had child support that was ordered by the court, you would be eligible to get health insurance outside the basic coverage period. Okay, so make sure you understand that. So if you are, and I know there's some people in my church that have done foster care, so just know that if that's the case, you can get foster care coverage for a kid. If you get a denial of coverage through Medicaid or Children's Health Insurance Program, that too will allow you a special election period where you would be eligible to pick a market plan for your health insurance needs. So I've given you, I've highlighted you some things. Oh, and another one is incarceration. If you are freed from the pokey, or I'm not being funny now. If you just get out of jail, you are entitled to be able to enroll in a health plan. So there's a couple of different opportunities for you under what's called a special election period. What I'd strongly suggest is, if you're not sure, because they also changed the income guidelines. And I tried to find them before I came on here tonight. I couldn't find them, but they changed income guidelines, and they made it so that people with reduced income are eligible to get coverage, whereas in the past they wouldn't. Florida is a strange animal. And the reason why we're strange when it comes to the marketplace is, when Obama originally designed the marketplace, it was designed to work in conjunction with Medicaid. So the marketplace plans were designed to be a bridge between the two. And they offered financial incentives to take the Medicaid expansion. Florida would not take it. Governor Scott refused to take the Medicaid expansion. So as a result, we are one of the few states where you can get into Death Valley. You can't get Medicaid because you don't have enough money, and you can't get a marketplace plan either. So that's, and I have had it, especially, it really has happened to some young folks. And it's heartbreaking to me that I have to sit down and say, well, there's nothing we can do. What do you mean there's nothing we can do? There's nothing I can do. There's a hole, there's a gap. I know when Larry, my good friend, who most of everybody in this community knows, Larry Lee, when he was up in Tallahassee, he told me they tried very hard to bridge that gap, but there was resistance in doing it. And I'm going to tell you, and most of you that have listened to me over a long period of time have the knowledge that I have whined incessantly about the fact that we don't get healthcare coverage for our people. Of all the things that I just cannot come to understand, I simply cannot understand why people object to people having health coverage. I just don't get it. I don't know. I'm missing something along the way, but I just really don't understand why people object to that. I don't know. But anyway, that number again is 340-1590. That's 340-1590. As I told you last week, the federal judge struck down the Florida election law passed last year by the legislature. And they said, and here's a quote from the judge: "For the past 20 years, the majority of the Florida legislature has attacked the voting rights of its Black constituents." That's a quote from the judge. So the legislature went back and has tried to reformulate another plan. But as of today, well, this is dated April 11th. The Florida lawmakers were unable to come up with a plan that would satisfy Ron DeSantis, our governor. It is DeSantis that wants to strike down two prominently African-American districts. He wants those eliminated with the new redistricting law. And he understands that it's probably going to be challenged, but I guess he wants to have the fight. Now, typically, the responsibility for establishing the voting districts is up to the legislature, but they ceded their authority to the governor to establish the voting districts. So I don't know. I would say that it is going to be ugly. It's going to be a fight. And, you know, this is a result of the census. And every 10 years, they get a chance to redo the districts. And Florida did pick up one seat in this last census. But he's determined he is not going to allow those two Black districts to exist. So stand by. Another big fight to come. But the interesting part about this fight is he's fighting with the Republican legislature, who's saying, look, we can't do it that way. We need to come up. They're trying to come up with something which is a reasonable compromise, which, Carol, I think is admirable on their part.
It certainly is. And just out of curiosity, where are these two districts? What geographic?
5 and 10, I think they are. Let's see. Yeah, I think let's see. It's I know one of them is 5. And let's see if I can find it right here real quick.
Yeah. Well, I'm just curious. What
Yes,
are they in? Are they in metropolitan areas?
The
or?
5th and the 10th district. I was right. The 5th and the 10th district.
Are they in the heavily populated areas? Are they sparsely populated?
I'm gonna guess, since it's the 5th and 10th district, and it's predominantly African American, it's probably in Broward or Dade County, somewhere, I'm guessing. But I don't know off the top of my head.
Yeah, sorry. I just wondering how do you even go about redrawing? I know you have to work another district in, but.
Listen, I think what we got to get to, which some states do now, and this is another one of these things that should be a national thing. There's some states that use a third-party service that comes in, tabulates the population and the demographics, and comes up with a plan for the voting districts. Simple enough to me. I don't know, I don't know why everybody's not doing that, but there's only a handful, from what I understand, of states that operate like that, where they don't get a chance to debate it. They just come, the service comes in, They put it together, present it to the legislature, they vote on it, and it's done. What we're going through now is just not good. Not good for our democracy, which is a whole nother thing. I think we've seen our democracy attacked in the past year in ways that I could have never imagined. And me being an old timer, I could have never in a million years imagined what happened on January 6th. No, I mean, in my wildest dream, I could have never thought that people would go after our state house that way. I mean, the federal house that way. That's just, but hey, it happened. And you know what? The sad part is, I don't think it's getting any better, because you got people like, I hate to say this, but I absolutely find Tucker Carlson disgusting. He disgusts me. He lies. He makes cultural wars, and he has such a strong following. People just buy into his cultural wars. You know, like one of his number one things, and I am so surprised how many people accept it, that Black and brown people are trying to take away his power. Black, brown people, and immigrants are trying to take away his power, and they shouldn't be allowed to take away his power. That's a very interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. How is that happening?
Yeah. Well, yeah. And he says that, and my thought immediately is, what about my power? What you take away your power? What about my power? Are you entitled to take that away? I don't think so. But anyway, so this other thing I got here, so the final topic for the night.
You want to take a break now? I mean, we've been going for a good
let's do
half
it.
hour
Yeah.
here. So let's
We're
do our
gonna
break.
take a break,
We'll be
and then
right.
we'll be right back. Yeah.
At Martin County Roofing, we build trust with quality work. I'm Derek Alcius, owner of Martin County Roofing with more than 20 years experience in the roofing and construction industry. Whether you need a repair, restoration, or a new roof, both residential or commercial, we offer a seamless client experience, and we serve the entire Treasure Coast. Fully licensed and insured, we specialize in tile, metal, shingle, or flat roof. Contact us today for a free estimate at martincountyroofing.com.
Hi, this is Rudy Howard, your independent insurance agent. I now specialize in Medicare, health insurance, and small group insurance. That number is 475-8856. Same great service, more flexible hours. Just give me a call, 475-8856.
This is WPSL Port St. Lucie, the talk of the Treasure Coast.
And we are back on the African American scene with Rudy Howard. You're welcome to give us a call and join the conversation. It's 772-340-1590.
Yeah, I have to tell you, I am so happy that I have, excuse me, I finished my Medicare for the year, and I'm kind of partially retired now, so I don't have to do anything really again until October. I'm getting a few phone calls for people calling in who are on agents. So, you know, if you're agent into 65, I'm certainly somebody that can help you with that, with your Medicare. And if you got a small group, I'm one of the few agents around that write small groups. A lot of agents don't do the small groups. But anyway, so either one of those things, I can certainly help you. This thing I got from Southern Poverty Law Center It's a kind of an annual report. It's called The Year in Hate and Extremism for 2021. And in here, it gives you statistical breakdown on various hate groups. There are 488 anti-government groups in America. There is 733 actual hate groups in America. 733. Now, one of the big debates I've been having with one of my conservative associates, he and I, when he tries to talk to me about the church, I frequently have to tell him the church, you're talking to me about Christianity, and some of the worst demons, in my opinion, are people claiming Christianity. So here in this first category, here's 18 groups associated with the Ku Klux Klan. The good thing about this report is their population has declined from 2020 to 2021. But to support the argument that I've been making, they give you a name, a listing of names for the groups. I'm going to name a few just so you can get the flavor of what I've been arguing. The Alabama Knights of the Ku Klux Klan. Right, here's this one. The American Christian Dixie Knights of the Ku Klux Klan. Now, it gives you the states that these groups are from. Now, the American Christian Dixie Knights have a chapter in Florida. Doesn't say what part of Florida, just says Florida. Here's another one, Church of the Ku Klux Klan. Another one, Church of the National Knights of the Ku Klux Klan. So are you getting the flavor? So the point that I have been arguing with my conservative associate is, when you come at me with Bible verses and Christian speak, that doesn't obliterate the points that I have a concern about, because many of the groups that you'll hear listed here tonight are all Christian-based groups. And I quite frankly,
What, Christian based or using the name? If they're just calling themselves a church or calling themselves a Christian organization.
Well, Carol, let me say this, and I know you were a news reporter, and I know you know this. The creation of the Ku Klux Klan was based on Christianity. The symbol of the burning cross, right? Think about that. They used this cross as a symbol of burning a cross. So that was originally based on Christianity. But your point's well taken. It may be that they're not necessarily Christian, but using a Christ-like name to augment their position among folks, you know. Now, here's another. They have 54 neo-Nazi groups. 54. And we have them in Washington, Kentucky, Texas, Denver, Georgia, New Hampshire, Texas, Arizona, Pittsburgh, Austin, Illinois, Wilmington, Ohio, Arizona, California, Colorado, Michigan, Minnesota, Mississippi, Nebraska, Nevada, Tennessee, Texas, Pennsylvania. Goes on and on and on. So let's see, do we have any more Florida here? We don't have any Florida in this group. And this is the neo-Nazis, okay? Now, let's talk about how does the Southern Poverty Law Group define what is a hate group? The Southern Poverty Law Group defines a hate group as an organization or collection of individuals that, based on its official statements or principles, the statements of its leaders or its activities, has beliefs or practices that attack or malign an entire class of people, typically for their immutable characteristics. An organization does not need to have engaged in criminal conduct or have followed their speech with actual unlawful action to be labeled as a hate group. We do not list individual as hate groups, only organizations. The organizations on our hate group list vilify others because of their race, religion, ethnicity, sexual orientation, or gender identification. Prejudices that strike at the heart of our democratic values and fracture society along with most fragile fault lines. That is their definition of hate group. All right. Now, so we talked about the Klan and we talked about neo-Nazis. There's 98 white nationalist groups. Okay. We have a call? No? Okay. We have 98 white nationalist groups. Okay. This list is pretty big of the white nationalist groups. Give you some of the, here's the Affirmative Right is the name of a group. The American Freedom Party, American Patriots. One of the big ones here is the Patriot Front. Okay, let's see. The Patriot Front has chapters in Texas, Arizona, Arkansas, California, Colorado, Connecticut, Delaware, Washington, Florida, Georgia, Idaho, Illinois, Indiana, Kansas, Kentucky, Louisiana, Maine, Maryland, Massachusetts, Michigan, Minnesota, Missouri, Nebraska, Nevada, New Jersey, New York, North Carolina, Ohio, Oklahoma, Oregon, goes on, Pennsylvania, Rhode Island, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So that is the Patriotic Front. Okay, so I didn't see any other, I'm trying to specifically find ones that are in Florida. You have one in West Palm Beach, it's called the Storm Front. That's a white nationalist group in West Palm Beach. It's called Storm Front. I don't know if anybody's heard of that or not. I hadn't heard of that before. Have you heard of that before?
No. I haven't.
And the other one here I see is Will the number 2 Rise. Will to Rise. It's in Lakeland. That's another one. I hadn't heard of that one either. Okay, that's white nationalists. Skinheads. Okay. Again, please feel free to call in. That phone number is 340-1590. Skinheads. We have 17 racist skinhead groups. The AC Skins. In Florida, we have the Firm 22. Firm 22. I don't know what part of Florida but the racist skinhead group is called Firm 22. And then we have one, the United Skinhead Nation. That's also a Florida-based group. And
Rudy, if I can interrupt here, we do have a caller.
okay,
Ken is on the line.
it's Ann, you said?
Ken.
Ken. Yes, Ken. Okay. Okay. Well, thank you for that. They have the Supreme Court judges have ruled. Well, yeah, in Florida, it was ruled again, they ruled against the original redistricting plan. And the judge wanted him to come up with another plan, and the Republican legislature had proposed a plan to DeSantis, and DeSantis rejected the plan. Because like I said, I think he wants. Yes, well, they rejected in March. I think they rejected the first plan, and told them they had to come up with something different. And the Republican legislature had put together another plan, and DeSantis didn't like it because he wants to get rid of those two districts. He wants to get rid of those two districts, which I'm sure you don't have a problem with. So. No. The New York plan, you're saying? Oh, I don't know. Well, listen, I got to tell you, I'm going to say to you what I said to Carol a little earlier. There's a couple of states, the name of them escapes me off the top of my head, that use an independent party to come in and establish voting districts. I think they all should be done that way. They come in. What do you mean? Don't they use a third party in Maryland? Do they? So let me make sure I understand what you're saying. The judge in Maryland is trying to find out whether or not a member of the legislature had influence on the party that was doing the redistricting plan for Maryland. Is that what you're saying? Okay, well, tell me what you're saying. I'm not following you then. Well, I don't know. I don't know. But listen, if you're gonna think that I'm gonna be hypocritical, I'm not. You should know me well enough by now, Ken. I'm not a hypocrite. If they did it wrong, they did it wrong. And it should be ruled out by the judge if it was done wrong. And if they designed it in the state of Maryland, which is heavily Democratic, just to shut out Republicans, I object to that. If that's what you want to know, I object to that. What did I just say? Well, okay. So you're attacking me because I didn't bring it up? I am one-sided. Is that's what you're saying? Oh, you're not though, right? Okay. So when you called up and you went on a tirade about Judge Jackson with a infinitesimal amount of information, that wasn't one-sided. You did. That's okay. You're gonna make pretend like you didn't say it. All right, that's fine. But listen, I'm gonna say, like I said, if they did it wrong, they did it wrong, and I object. If that was, huh? Oh, okay. Okay, I like that, Ken. That doesn't happen often. That's good. Huh? That have what? That only Republicans that what? Okay, well, no, I'm not gonna say that, but I think Republicans have been very suspect in how they've gone about handling voting. Uh, and it's been primarily Republicans that have been very suspect about that. When you had the Kemp running for governor of Georgia, and he was overseeing the elections, I think that was a little out of bounds. He should have stepped down if he was going to run for governor, and should not have been in charge in elections in an election that he was running. Did he do anything wrong? There's a lawsuit pending she has that's coming up. I just heard the other day. I didn't even know it was still in lawsuit. She has a lawsuit pending against him for how that vote was handled during their contest. Okay. All right, my friend. Thank you. All right, bye-bye. And we got Steve. Steve, how are you? And we got Steve, how are you? You there, Steve? Okay, you there, Steve? Yes, sir. Okay. 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 Hmm. Okay. Well, let me say this to you. You preaching to the choir. I know what you're saying to be true because I served on the Allegheny Franciscan Board of Directors for like 6 years. And what I learned on that board was about how when they would not treat Black people in the hospital, the St. Mary Hospital that was run by the nuns would treat Black folks where they couldn't get any treatment anyplace else. That I know firsthand. So I know what you're saying. So I know what you're saying is true. Absolutely. Okay, I agree with you. I know. I remember that you taught in, I think it was Ohio somewhere that you were a teacher. Okay, do you have my phone number? Okay, well, give me a call and we'll see if we can't set something up. Okay. All right, Steve. Okay, thank you, Steve. See, I can always have a conversation. Like, I have no problem with that conversation. Or even Ken, who can be unreasonable. He gave me a very reasonable conversation tonight, for sure. But I would like to thank you folks so much for tuning into the African American scene. And as usual, I hope I made you a little bit wiser. Hope I gave you something to think about. God bless, be safe, and I will see you next Wednesday right here for the African American scene.